It's always a big deal when world leaders die. But Silvio Berlusconi, three-time Italian prime minister, he was in a class all his own. Who else could spend almost 30 years fending off sex scandals, controversies, criminal charges, charming his way to victory time and time again, all while somehow getting away with calling one of the world's most powerful figures in European politics an unfuckable lard arse?
Do you have a particular problem with Angela Merkel? Is it true you called her an unfuckable lard arse?
Little did we know, Berlusconi was operating out of a playbook that would become prototype politics, populism 101. Brazil's Jair Bolsonaro, the UK's Boris Johnson, and down south, Donald Trump. They've all followed to some degree in Berlusconi's footsteps. To say it simply, as one writer put it, winning elections by behaving badly.
I am the Jesus Christ of politics. I am the healer of their souls.
And yes, they even made a musical about it. So I've been reading a lot about Berlusconi, and over time, you do start to see many common threads in how people describe the man and his legacy. Operatic, I really like. He was definitely rich, definitely well-tanned, loved, hated, yes. Extreme personality politics, big time. Nuclear levels of dishonesty, okay. The godfather of contemporary politics, maybe. And in the words of Berlusconi himself, I'm no saint. Let's start there.
At the center of the case, Karima El Maroug, widely known as Ruby. Last year, when she was a minor, she accepted money from Berlusconi to attend a party. They both say it was innocent, although the prosecutors insist the money was for sex.
Former Italian Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi has been sentenced to 1 year in jail over illegal wiretapping. The prosecution accused the owner of AC Milan of arranging for a police wiretap of a political rival to be leaked to a newspaper owned by his brother.
Pope Benedict called on the Italian Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi to change his ways.
From the start of Berlusconi's political career 29 years ago, he told voters something we hear often now, that the law is out to get him. A judiciary full of leftist sympathizers. It would eventually pursue more than 30 cases against him.
Italian Premier Silvio Berlusconi made a rare appearance in a Milan courtroom Monday. The closed-door hearing for tax fraud is just one of 4 separate cases against him.
In October, a court convicted the 76-year-old in a scheme that involved inflating the price his Mediaset company paid for TV rights to US movies and pocketing the difference.
Embezzlement, false accounting, accusations he was abusing his power to protect his business interests, sometimes even crafting new laws explicitly to protect himself. There was even an allegation he bribed a judge. Many of these cases never actually went to trial. There was this pattern of cases either getting so bogged down in the system, the statute of limitations would expire, or he would win on appeal. The one time he was convicted, he ended up doing community service.
On Friday, Silvio Berlusconi started his 1-year sentence for tax fraud at this home for the elderly in the outskirts in Milan.
But then there were the bunga bunga parties. High-end escorts, pole dancing, and accusations underage girls were being paid for sex. The most serious allegation against Berlusconi himself, sex with a minor, and using the power of his office to cover it up. Berlusconi had a knack for not just weathering controversy, but emerging from it seemingly stronger than before. Remind you of someone?
Was investigating me for something that is not a crime, not a misdemeanor, not an affair. I never liked horseface.
Berlusconi was the model of managing to walk the tightrope of proclaiming his innocence through every scandal, but often with a wink to his supporters, as if to shrug it all off and say, well, nobody's perfect. One of his most famous quotes from 2009, "The majority of Italians in their hearts would like to be like me." When Donald Trump was elected, there were immediate comparisons to Berlusconi. Both were business people, real estate tycoons, owned sports teams, even had show business careers and legit media empires under their thumbs before diving into politics. Then it became all about upending the status quo, undermining the established institutions like the courts, but also the media, and using a larger-than-life, bombastic personality to sell the story. Not just saying provocative things, but going all in on them. After the 9/11 attacks, he claimed Western civilization was superior to Islam. He likened a German MP to a concentration camp guard, compared his own family's legal woes to what the Jews faced in Germany. And yes, was apparently recorded insulting the country's chancellor.
Do you have a particular problem with Angela Merkel? Is it true you called her an unfuckable lardass?
Non arriverei, io non ho mai.
But, all right, let's take
Scusi, non ho mai, in 20 anni di politica, insultato nessuno.
No, I have never had any problems with Angela Merkel. In 20 years of politics, I have never insulted anyone. And this has been made up by someone who wanted to turn Angela against me.
Like many of the right-leaning populist politicians who would follow him, Berlusconi was friendly with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Putin stayed at Berlusconi's estate in Sardinia in 2003. Berlusconi, in turn, visited Crimea after Russia annexed it from Ukraine in 2014. On Berlusconi's 86th birthday, after Russia invaded Ukraine, Putin reportedly sent Berlusconi a bottle of vodka. He sent back some Italian wine. Again, it all sounds familiar, doesn't it?
You know what, North Korea, we're not in a war. We have a good relationship. You know, people don't understand. Having a good relationship with leaders of other countries is a good thing.
Berlusconi's greatest trick was parlaying his personality into actual support. Over and over again, Italians believed his promises. And though he undeniably juggled two things constantly, his self-interest against the national interest, his staunchest supporters truly believed he could do no wrong. The so-called godfather of contemporary politics, the man who many world leaders would come to emulate, he suffered from chronic leukemia. He was hospitalized last Friday for the second time in months. He was 86 years old.